Yeah.
Yo, Nikk. Here they come. Here they come.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Yeah, doesn't know how to use Google Translate.
Ooh, we got a whole packed house tonight.
Damn.
Everybody said, fuck Sunday Night Football.
Who's playing anyways?
Right? Who is playing?
Wait, what's football?
Right? Yo, Javier.
Hey, what up, man?
What's up, brother? Hey, question.
Yes, sir.
Who invited you tonight?
Angel?
Okay. You can stay.
That
Angel.
cool? Is that cool?
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
All right.
Kick him out.
Shut the fuck up, Gia.
Hold on one second. Nick's texting me right now.
All right.
Yo.
What's up?
Hey.
So guys, I'm going to make this real quick, and the floor is Nick's. I want to introduce Nikk Pena. Okay, Nikk Pena, I'm telling you, by definition, he's a sales expert, comes from GC's office. He's a marketing expert. He's helped build a 8-figure business. So 8 figures, I'm talking about $10 million and above. He's built multiple 7-figure businesses. Some of the information, actually a lot of information that I use, some of the data that I operate off of is like from Nikk, okay? So they call him the legend, rightfully so. Nikk Pena, the dude is unfreaking real. Nikk, the floor is yours, man. There's a lot of hungry marketers, and I told him you're the dude.
Awesome, I love it. Cool. Let me play this for you guys to give you just a little bit of reality. This is one of the things that I'm working on right here. I'll start off with this quick video, and I'll jump in and I'll share my story, and then I'll share some things that have helped me, and then I'll open up to a Q&A. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick.
From my city, I'm the realest one that's repping. Oh my God, if I die, I'm a legend. When they lay me down to rest, I know I was always repping.
So one sec. Wrong one. This is it.
I just flipped the switch. Flip. I don't know nobody else that's doing this. I just stop, hey. I didn't wanna know me since I hit the top. Hey, this a rolling, not a stop. Why shit don't never stop. This the flow that got the block hot. Shit got super hot. Hey, give me my respect.
My complete experience out here, man, definitely a risk I had to take. I'm so glad I did it because with the stuff that I know now, I can be able to go home, make this income without, stressing over a job. The skill set that they're giving you, that they're laying out for you is elementary. And if you don't want to make money, then I guess you can stay home and sit down and not take this chance to change them.
Cool. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. There's actually 2 businesses that I created in the last 12 months that each do over 7 figures. One's a consulting company, and then the other one's called the Trade Academy. Other than that, the other project that I'm working on, which is a long-term play, is called New Era Capital, which is a hedge fund. So I'll share my story with you guys and how I got into this, and kind of share where it started, and then some of the major things that I had in terms of realizations and cognitions that helped me go from that point where maybe some of you are at, where you're like, hey, I want to do something different. I want to make 6 figures. I want to make 7 figures. I want to do more, and how did I go from that point of wanting to do that to actually being able to be at the point now, I actually know how to make a 7-figure business. I know how to go and, I've worked with, an 8-figure business, and now my attention and all of my energy is towards 9 figures, so at each level, there's different pieces of information and data that you have to learn to operate on to go there, and that's something that I think, some people aren't touching a lot about is, to go to a 7 to 8-figure business, there's systems, organizations, procedures to actually scale out and build a machine that's running in all facets, whether it's marketing, sales, finance, account management, service, and then your actual, delivery of your product. And it's a lot different than, building a 7-figure business. So with that, I'm from a small town. I'm from a farm town. The town's called Selma, California. It's a very small town, and I grew up with people that thought a certain way, and it was a certain type of thinking that was just normal. And just like everybody here, at one point, I said, you know what, I want to do something different, and I stepped outside of that way of thinking, that normal way of thinking. And for me, that first thing that I did was I said, I want to be successful, and I thought that education and the school system was the best way to go. So I was a valedictorian. I did everything I could to go to an Ivy League school. And basically, growing up, I didn't come from a family with money. My dad worked at Burger King. My mom had me when she was 19. The person that actually introduced me to investing in business was my grandma. And my grandma was a drug dealer. She was like literally dealing heroin and meth. And, that was the person that like literally turned me on to business. But my point is I just came from a normal family. I didn't have anybody around me that ever made $1 million. I never had anybody around me that even went to college. I just, knew I wanted to be great, and that path was something that I was going to do whatever it takes to get there. So I went to an Ivy League school, and about 2 years in, I realized that I wanted more. I wanted to go and have what I call true financial security, which I believe is the ability to create income on demand. And that's something that I love that Mike does, is because he's teaching you guys skill sets where you do have security, where you could sell and market. And if you could do that, that's going to give you a certain amount of, confidence to be able to produce results no matter what happens in the economy. So for me, I basically chose a handful of skill sets that I knew I wanted to master. And I say master because really to get any results, you have to learn how to be in the top 1%. Anything other than that, you're going to end up with mediocre results. So I chose mastering certain skill sets. First it was marketing, and then it was sales. And then I wanted to learn how to actually do what I'm teaching now is, I actually teach people how to read the financial markets and make their money work for them. So I basically set out to do whatever it takes. And there was a point last year I went through and, altogether, when I look at like how I started to make these massive jumps and expand and go from, a 10K a month paycheck to, I've had days where I've made and netted $70,000. There's a shift that happens there, and it happens from, changing your operating basis. And for me to do that, I truly am a believer in the fact that, education is changing, and you guys have noticed this with yourselves being on this call is you guys have, paid, and you guys have paid for a service that Mike gave. And, I'm not sure of the price, but for me, I actually literally the only reason I'm at 9 figures is because I just don't have the right data. So last year, altogether on consulting and just getting advice, I spent over $91,000 in 2017. In 2018, I spent upwards of $140,000 just getting consulting. And that's something where for me, there was a time not too long ago, 5 years ago, where if you looked at my, tax return, it was $33,000, 4 years ago, it was $30,000. And it wasn't that long ago, but I literally just dove into this concept that I could go ahead and create these skill sets and confidence, and I would do whatever it takes. And that's exactly what I did. And I don't know exactly where everybody's here right now. Is anybody at the 7-figure range? Is anybody at the 6-figure range? Cool. Awesome. So, every single place you're at in this game of business and making money, it's just like a game. You know, it's a game. It's a video game. And I remember the problems that I had when I was at this 6-figure game. I was really thinking a lot about just like myself, and I was thinking about like how hard it was to make money. And I basically had these different barriers, and I had things that slowed me down. And one of the biggest things that I realized is if I just really put attention, almost even forget about making the money. Like the money is important, like have targets, but really put attention on just mastering the skill sets and going out there and getting as close as I could to people that were in that 7- and 8-figure range. That's something that made the biggest difference. So right now, like if I told somebody here on this call today, hey, you know, in order for you to go and get to that 6-figure point in your business, you know, you need to go ahead and invest $10,000 today. You know, some of you guys might have a certain type of like anxiety or fear, or like just some, you know, it might make you feel a certain way, you know, drop in $10,000. But, you know, what I realized is because there was a point where I made that first investment to actually go and invest in myself and get some consulting, is I realized that the only reason I have that anxiety about spending $10,000 is because I don't have a true confidence of making it back easily, you know? If I knew I could make it back easily, I would do it. So I just kept pushing myself and training myself to actually go ahead and break down the limitations and barriers that I had about money. And for what I teach today, you know, in the trading aspect, you know, a lot of people have negative connotations and feelings associated with money. Just that idea of letting it go hurts. You know, there's like some attachment to it. And basically, what I think is, you know, it's something that's built up. It's an accumulation of experiences and things that have happened to you the last, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years where you feel a certain way about money. But the more that I challenged I guess like the society's view of it, you know, and just kind of like how to use it and just treated it as something that I'm just going to literally, you know, treat as a tool. And I'm going to treat it as a tool to get all of the right skill sets and confidence to go ahead and create it. I just kept going all in. I kept going all in until I finally woke up with that feeling where like, if you took everything I had today, you literally could wipe me out tomorrow, everything I had. And within 30 days, I can give you a business model that produces 7 figures. I can do it like clockwork now, you know? And a lot of people have this thing where it's like a backwards thing where they want to go and like kind of get to that 7-figure point and do it in a way where they're, you know, kind of moving in like this slow gradient, and, you know, they're kind of like trying to take it slow and really not pour into the right thing, which is like yourself and skill sets. And you're just like delaying something, you know, like if you saw something out there today that gave you a certain result, like everybody has a different barrier holding them back from the 6-figure point and 7 figures. For some of you, your barrier is sales. For some of you, your barrier is marketing. For some of you, your barrier is literally, maybe it's just yourself. You overthink everything. You know, when you have an idea, you go and you question yourself. You have doubt. You have uncertainty. You have maybe you have anxiety. Maybe you have stress. Maybe you have these different emotions, you know, built up when you're trying to push yourself to do something new. You know, and there's ways to handle that, like today. And a lot of the times it does take money. So like, this is actually something cool. Let me go ahead and look this up and share this with you guys. And this is something I do a lot, actually. And this is something that's huge, is actually learning how to learn. And that's one thing that I spent a lot of time studying, is learning how to learn. And a lot of people are like, well, what do you mean? What I mean is like how do you you know, pick up concepts 10x faster? You know, a lot of people will go, and maybe you guys are reading about marketing, maybe you're reading about sales, and you guys are studying these subjects. Maybe you're reading these books and you're going over words that you don't understand. So basically, whenever I study a new subject, I always look to like define and break down the definitions of everything and try to create like a mental image picture of the word. So a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. So, some people, this might be a little bit different, but a lot of people, when they're in the, in business and you're thinking about expansion, this feeling pops up. Some people might call it stress. Some people might call it this, but it's like this uncertainty, this nervousness, sometimes you feel it in your stomach. And for a lot of you here today, to get to that next level, you got to go ahead and put more into yourself, and you're going to experience a lot of this. And basically, the reason why you're, if you look at this, an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome, the reality is when you're going and looking to, build a business and you're stepping into something new and you're expanding, that next step that you need to do is uncertain for you because you haven't done it before. And a lot of the time it takes money, So breaking that down is something that you can do with practice. And let me just kind of get something right now. Like who has like, I know you guys talk a lot about sales and marketing, but who has like a problem? Like what's someone's problem? Someone just kind of tell me your problem, like a barrier you have, something that, you think anything comes to mind.
Sure. I've got one. For example, trying to reach a plastic surgeon directly, similar to how sometimes and often you can reach a personal trainer or a gym owner. Totally different dynamic there. So that's something that comes to mind for me.
So you're saying through like, how do you get him, through ads or through whatever?
Just in terms of, creating more of a direct line for yourself between yourself and who you're trying to, get in front of. Going for medical professionals, for example, it's a little bit more difficult to reach compared to, contacting a CrossFit gym, for example, or the owner of a CrossFit gym.
Okay. So how do you reach him now? How do you reach him now?
Through social, primarily.
Okay, cool. And you guys go over cold calling, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So, okay, cool. So, you think your problem what's your goal?
Ultimately to transact.
Okay, cool. What's your goal? Money wise?
For example, call it $3,500 for a plastic surgeon.
Okay. What's your goal money wise? Like how much do you want to make a month?
Shit, like 40 million.
Cool. Okay. So how many clients do you need?
That's a great question.
Good question, right?
40 million? Yeah.
So here's the thing is, no matter what, like this is something that I had to realize too, is like every single person here, you have to know your numbers and statistics and data, right? Because
Sure.
For me, I have different businesses because each one has a cap. I know the cap of the business I'm in. I know that one of them has about $1 million a month. I know another one has 100 million. And then I know to ultimately to get to where I need to go and why I'm setting up New Era Capital, which is a hedge fund. That's the $1 billion play in 3 to 5 years. I know my numbers for what I'm doing, and that's something that I got really good at, is knowing the statistics and data, because wherever you're at in income, whether your income in your business is going up, whether it's flat, maybe it's declining, there's a formula to actually, handle each of those, like if you went and started making a lot of money and your business was increasing, a lot of people are like, okay, let me go ahead and spend this on X, Y, and Z entertainment or this, and this. In reality, there's certain processes that you should do with that extra income in your business to actually go ahead and keep that increase. And that's actually go ahead and put into the delivery of your product. But here's the thing is you want to make 7 figures. Your problem isn't getting a hold of people like, and getting a direct line to them for you personally. Your problem is that you're the only one doing it. It's just you. It's just you doing it, So how can you go ahead and start to do 5 or 10X in 30 or 60 or 90 days if it's just you? What you need to do is figure out how do you do it, and you do it. You actually do it. You do it and you make it successful. And then you actually go ahead and start to have, a playbook. You start to have departments. You start to have, different people with different processes, different policies. And then you start to go ahead and keep track of these policies, and you start to have organization. Let me show you guys something. And these are like the levels of like, the business that like, people go through these phases. So like I have my statistics. I know where things are at. You know, I know that last week the income for this business, I did 47,000. The week before I did 41,000. The week before that I did 21,000. Then I did 27,000. You know, this business was set up less than 90 days ago. You know, I know what that looks like compared to like how much. What mic is that?
Everybody mute their mic. Yo, quick question. Ryan T. Yo, Ryan, can you hear me? Hey, brother, who invited you tonight?
What?
Who invited you tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. This is just a private one, man. We'll get you on the next one.
Okay, my bad.
Gia. Okay, go ahead, Nick.
Awesome. So, you know, so like you're saying, you know, hey, you need to get in contact with more direct lines. You know, you actually know what to do. You have the marketing side to get in contacting them, and then you have direct communication, which is through a person that does outbound calls. You know, for you to go ahead and make that next step, you know, you get your first successful client. You get it through ads. Cool. You get a client through direct communication. You pick up the phone and you get a hold of them. You know, as soon as I get that process down, this is how I do it. I get a process down. I get a system down. I make a playbook on it. I do it. Ideally, if you have people you're working with and they know how to do it too, you know, you would have them do this, but I go ahead and get how it's done. And I make policies. I make rules. I make systems. I make the target. I make the quota. And I write up this quota. And then I go ahead and I put attention on recruiting someone to fill that spot. If you guys are filling sales spots, you can get people on a 1099 and have them fill that spot at almost zero risk to you if they're 100% commission, you know? And that's what you got to start thinking with is for me, you know, right now, you know, that business that I showed you where I did 47,000 last week, I'm ready to go to 250 grand a week. I just don't actually have all of the policies and organization stuff written out for certain hats. But as soon as I get that done, I'm going to start recruiting and start filling this organization because you need a team to expand to that level. But here's the thing is like to do that, it's going to cost money. And sometimes it's going to cost a pay cut for you. Okay. So some of you guys aren't even at that point. You're just at the point where you just have to keep mastering the skills you're mastering, whether it's sales, marketing, communication, you know, and really to go to whatever it takes to do that, you know? So what I mean is you can't invest too much into yourself, you know? Let's put it this way. I paid a guy $25,000. You know, I've went and met up with him a few times and I picked up one good idea that has literally made me that times 5, you know, one good idea, one good concept. Okay. You know, when I did that event, the event that I showed you guys, that was at a $50 million house. You know, that event cost me about $30,000 to put together. I wasn't even trying to make money off of it. I was just trying to create something cool because I knew that one event was going to go ahead and make me a lot more money. And that's how I think about things. I just look at what's it cost? What's the result of that? Whether it's education, whether it's this, whether it's that, what's the result? And what is that going to be worth to me in this lifetime? You know? So some of you guys, in terms of building your business, you know, you have some other limitations, whether it's, you know, how do you actually go ahead and start to expand and multiply? For me, this is something I found a lot of people have a barrier with. It's actually credit, you know, utilizing credit and leveraging other people's money to build their business, you know. For me, I have over $200,000 in personal lines of credit that I could utilize for anything. My business has a lot more. And I'm looking to expand it because I know that when I spend money on Facebook, I make money. You know, that's not something that I could do quickly, but it's something that took me time to do. And that's just another tool that a lot of people that are just getting started on have false data on. They have false data on leveraging other people's money. And that's something where if you study the right people, the billionaires, none of them use their own money. None of them, you know, they're literally trying everything possible to not use their own money, you know? So that's another area that which is more in like finance, you know, and then you have the actual systems in a business to go ahead and make those 2x, 5x, 10x jumps. And those systems are what's going to go ahead and take you from, a person working the business to a business working for you. So here's kind of like the framework that I take when I study anything and I look to get into anything new, is I always look to get with a credible source, and I look to identify what results they've had. So like someone comes and works with me and they do, one thing I teach is the day trading. Hey, I've created people that have made 6 figures, in the financial markets. I've made $70,000 profit in a day. I went and have a system to help people learn in a gradient. I have results. You identify the source of who you're learning from, okay? That's number 1. Number 2 is you break down that topic into subjects. You never want to think about a subject like whether it's marketing or sales. Don't think about it as a whole. Break it down into subjects. So let's just say that, I'm talking about advertising on Instagram or Facebook. You have the subjects within that. You have the technical stuff in the actual ClickFunnels. You have the actual, way that you manage your ads on Facebook. And then you actually have the actual creative content, the copywriting, and then you have the actual video or photo. Each piece of that puzzle is important. And there's different levels of understanding for each piece of that puzzle when you're advertising. It's the same thing in sales. It's the same thing in sales. You have different pieces to the sales cycle. You have the greeting, the fact finding, the demonstration, the trial close, the close, right? You have these different pieces, depending on the product that you're selling. This is like another level, is depending on the product you're selling and how much it is, whether it's a $197 product, a $2,000 product, or a $20,000 product, each product has a different sales cycle and an average amount of time that you would spend on that sale. And this is what you need to get awareness of as a business owner, so that you can have complete understanding of how long does it take me to close this thing? Because if you don't know and you don't have rules on how long it will take to do something, and if you don't have policies on how long it takes to do something, whoever you hire, whoever you bring in to help you is going to make up their own rules. That's just how it works. If you don't give the rules, if you don't give the structure, people that you hire make up their own rules, and most of the time they're going to make up the wrong things. So this is like when you're thinking about that piece of your business, it's kind of like how my mind works when I'm looking to create something. When I'm looking at a business, I think about the marketing, I think about the sales, I think about like support. How do I go ahead and get this handled by a person? How do I give someone this hat? When I'm thinking about the finance part, how am I going to go ahead and set this business up so that I'm getting the maximum amount of write-offs? I'm getting the maximum amount of tax deductions. I'm getting the maximum amount of, ability to allow myself to have, an account to grow. How do I go ahead and start thinking about credit in that finance department? And then I'm thinking about, a fund set up for future growth and future things that I want to implement into my business. So for some of you guys, this stuff is, way, way, way out there. You're just going to start chipping away at this though, and start building up in gradients. And I would say the next gradient for a lot of people on here is to go ahead and figure out, how do you go ahead and outsource one piece of what you do? How do you get one piece out? One thing that you're putting a lot of time and energy on that, you could have someone do. And, for me, I'll tell you what, I have, an international staff, and I have someone online 24 hours a day. I hired them in a country where, I know how much it costs them to do what they do. And, I know that it's not worth, my time or someone's time over here to do it. So, start thinking in a bigger picture. Does anybody have any questions off the top of your head?
Yeah, you said like ingredients. Can you explain what you mean by that? Like gradient?
Yeah, so like let's just say that I was going to go ahead and study a piece of something. Like what's something you're trying to study in your business? What's something that you're trying to get, master? Like something new.
Okay. Or is that a question?
Yeah, what's something you're trying to study that's new?
I mean, sales, like the demonstration.
Okay, cool. So let's just use that. Let's just say you were trying to study sales in a gradient, or you're trying to study the demonstration in a gradient. You know, that's something where, well, that's like a piece of sales, right?
Yeah.
You probably would go ahead and work on mastering that in like a gradient, and you would want to apply it too, but you study whatever material you have on the demonstration, whether you guys have scripts, whether you have this. But do you guys have Cardone University?
I do not currently.
Okay. Yeah, you don't need it. But anyways, I would go ahead and start practicing. I would start practicing and start doing pitches. And a pitch would be like, hey, a gradient would be like, let me get a $500 client. Let me get a $1,000 client. Let me get a $5,000 client. Let me get a $20,000 client. You know, that would be a type of gradient. You go ahead and start working and implementing that at different gradients with different types of clients that are bigger, bigger, and bigger, right? You can go straight to pitching a Fortune 500, but let's take another example. Let's just say I wanted to study YouTube. You know, this is something that I'm going to start studying. I'm going to start using it. I'm not going to go and start spending, $10,000 a week on YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and look to understand the basics of it. I'm going to actually go and just study the platform of YouTube. I'm going to study, what does YouTube call X, Y, and Z buttons? What is like the YouTube, just literally like the guide, what does YouTube give me on education? And I'm just going to start looking at it and looking at the lingo that they use, because what happens is when someone looks at the Facebook platform, there's a lot of different things in there that, if you just looked at it, you don't know what a pixel is. You don't know what this is. But Facebook gives you all the data on how to understand it, like the basics of it. So if I was going to approach YouTube, I would look at it and then I would go ahead and find someone that's successful at it. I would buy a course from them and I would go start to test and start to implement that in a gradient and do a small test. And then I'd see a result and then I'd observe and then I'd find, out points of what's not working, what is working. And then I'd try to work into it. Right. But let's just say that, and this is how you treat your business. You grow it in gradients. You don't hire 10 employees tomorrow. You go and add in one person part-time. You add in one salesperson part-time. You go ahead and figure out, how do you get this right? How do you make it right? And then you go ahead and you get it down, and then you get it down for that point in the business you're currently running, to the point where, you could hire and onboard 100 people in a week, So that's
awesome.
how I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Who else has something for me?
I got a question, Nick.
Yep.
So you kind of mentioned how there's levels to the game, right? The 6-figure game, the 7-figure game.
Mm-hmm.
What are some books or pieces of information that helped you go from $10,000 in salary annual to $100K annual salary?
Yeah, I actually wouldn't recommend. You can read books. I'd recommend getting to sources, a direct source. So, for example, let's just say, you found somebody that was doing 100 million. Or I'll put it this way. This is how even a step I did is I went and, I found a guy that had a $50 million company. I became a partner with him in a consulting company. I'm near a source, I also went and paid money to learn directly from sources. I think that books are good. And I think that you can learn a lot from online learning, just reading, doing what you can for free on YouTube and stuff. But I'll tell you what, in 2019, the new thing that I'm studying, and I study things, when I go and look at this, when I studied how to day trade, I didn't just go and try to read a book on it. I have books on it. I have all the books on it. I went and paid a guy who made on average $400,000 a week day trading. And I said, hey, let me pay you. And I went out there and got next to him, that's the example is for me, when I go ahead and the thing I'm conquering next year that I'm really trying to master and go through every loop, I'm trying to master the tax game. I want to master the tax game. I want to become a master at it. I will go ahead and find the top workshops, people that teach it, and I will go ahead and pay them whatever they ask, and I will go ahead and learn from them. And that's the hard part for a lot of people is they're they just have trouble letting go of the money or doing what it is to get that result. But if you really became in the 1% at Facebook, at sales, at creating businesses and the organization, or at, a skill set, if you get in the 1% and you do what it takes, the thought of if you'll make the money back shouldn't even happen, because people want people in the 1%. If you're good at what you do in marketing and you spent $100,000 learning from the best marketers, you'll make 100,000 a month, you know? That's just, and it's common sense. Like, hey, I learned strategies from someone that built a $20 million company, advertising. I have the same strategies. You know, it's literally common sense. The problem is people are okay with spending $30,000 or $40,000 on a car, but when it comes to getting data and skill sets that will help them make, you know, like I made last week, 47,000, they have some barriers, you know? So it's literally common sense. So what you need to do is, like, where are you at right now? What are you doing in business?
Just 1,000 per month.
Okay, 1,000 per month. And do you have a job as well?
Yeah, part-time.
Part-time? Why is it part-time?
Well, because I'm currently a student in college right now. So
Okay,
a part-time
cool.
job to help pay for bills, but I want to get my agency to full-time so I can quit my part-time.
How many hours are you working a week?
10 hours a week.
How many in total, like with everything you do?
In school, I'm probably spending like at least 20 hours. My part-time job is spending 10, and then my agency is anywhere from 20 to 25.
Okay, so like 70 hours a week. That's great. You know? So what I would do is figure out, like, do you have a client? Are you doing well with them? I would figure out, how do you go ahead and get someone like get your brand image right, get another 2 clients, and figure out how can you get someone to help you out and do something where you're not there. You know? That's what I would do. And
Awesome.
I also would go ahead and like your business, like 10 hours a week. I mean, I would go ahead and figure out, like, how can you match your job as quickly as possible and then just quit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the habits or like daily things, daily routines that you would tell somebody to do if you could look back at your life? Like, let's say before you started, right? Like, what are some of the things that you would have done back then on a daily that would, you know, guide you and put you into the trajectory where you are now?
So these are things that I do every single day. Is I work, I study, and I work out. Those are things I do every single day. But here's what I did, though, is I redefined the emotions and how I feel about working and how I actually feel about, like, happiness. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people here might have happiness associated with, like, I don't think you guys do, but, you know, you have certain things associated with happiness. A lot of people, like, outside of this maybe have happiness as, like, you know, I want to go and, like, relax or do this or do that. But, like, I really looked at what made me happy, and I really just identified it and learned about myself and realized that progress and achievement and learning new things and being able to implement it made me happy. So those are the 3 things that I do every single day. A lot of emphasis on the learning part and just being able to see when something's not working, when I'm not getting the result. I used to think I just have to work harder at this to get the results. But now I do believe in hard work, but now I have the framework of, like, okay, it's not working. I'm doing it hard. What do I need to change? What do I need to fix to get the result? Because for why was it when I first started building a 7-figure business was hard? Now it's easy. I had the wrong information. You know, I kept shifting my perspective, shifting what I was doing. So those are the things that I got religious about doing every day. And I also learned how to, like, actually really like learning. These are things that you'd want to do when you're looking to learn something new, or maybe you're studying new content, is if you ever start to, like, yawn or tap your feet or, like, kind of get, like, you know, you feel like moving around, it means you've went past words that you don't understand. And what you have to do is find those words and look up the definitions. And if you just think about this, like with common sense, is if I read a sentence and I understand half the words in it, you know, obviously I'm going to miss parts of that. But if you understood everything that was being communicated to you, you know, you're going to feel good about it. You're not going to get tired. You're going to know and have understanding of it. So, yeah, that's it.
Question, boys and girls.
So Nick, when you started your first business, what was the first thing that you started doing, and what was your I guess what was, like, the reaction of your family around you? Because I know you said you didn't really come from, like, a background of entrepreneurs or wealth and stuff like that. So how did people like your parents and your grandma and stuff kind of see?
Yeah, they weren't. I mean, the thing is even to this day, they think I'm crazy, you know, because I tell them, like, I'm just getting started, and they're like, huh? So, here's the thing is those people around you, whoever it is, if they're like, cynical, critical, maybe they're antagonistic, if they had any sort of negative feelings, just understand that person gave up on their dreams, and that's it. Like, so in terms of like how they felt about it, it literally didn't mean anything to me. Even when I first got started, I just tuned them out until they were accepting of it. And I was willing to go to that extent. Anybody that doubted or even looked at me weird when I told them I have a plan, I tell someone about a plan, I have New Era Capital doing $1 billion in 3 to 5 years. They look at me weird with uncertainty. I just eliminate them.
That's strong, man. That's strong, man.
That's so sick.
Dude, that's dope. Love it.
Hey, Nick, can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. How old are you?
I'm 26.
Fucking hell. So you told us a little bit at the start about the economy and being stable through crashes and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been a really long time for the economy to be stable, and it's a really good time to be an entrepreneur because of this.
Mm-hmm.
How are you setting up these 7-figure businesses to handle like another Wall Street crash, if there is one tomorrow, or 10 years, or 5 days?
If there is one tomorrow, here's the reality: is what that means. The strength of the dollar goes down, and I know what that means in the financial markets. I know how to make money there. Now, in terms of my businesses, I honestly believe if that happened with the things that I'm doing, I think I'll be fine. If you're great and in the 1%, like, I think it'll be fine. I mean, at the same time, there could be something where, I guess people, like, no matter what, in a down economy, there's always some people making money. How do you do those?
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about it.
So it's more of like a keep learning, keep studying, knowing that when it happens, everything else is going to fall down around you, but because you have been growing the most, you will be okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, one thing is like I said, is like I have awareness of like the financial markets. So like I know what, like if I showed you a chart like in 2008 and you like looked at like one thing I trade is currencies, like it just goes like this down, you just sell, you make money, But in terms of like business, no matter what, even in a down economy, there are people making money. So with what I do, I'm at a point where I'm so certain in the fact that I'll be able to figure it out that I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Yep.
Hey, Nick. Augustine here, Nick. I got a question regarding your hedge fund.
Yep.
So I manage $100 million of portfolio assets for my company. And what hedging strategies do you guys have in place? What kind of technical tools do you use?
So everything we do is in Forex. In terms of like setting that up, what do you do exactly?
I'm an investment advisor.
Wow. So that's the game I want to play. And that's something that's new for me. Right now I'm literally just going and getting all the licenses and getting set up with everything.
Yeah, well, you'll actually be in a better place if you do not get certain licenses.
Yep. Hey, let's connect after this.
All right, sounds good.
Let's do it.
What else you guys got for Nick?
Man. Okay, I got a question. What's like the biggest thing you've done in terms of like growing your mindset to get to the point where you're at now?
There's a lot of good books and different people that you could tune into. But I'd say the biggest thing is I literally went and wrote down every belief that I had. And I looked at every idea I ever had about money, about anything in life. And I looked at, I wrote it all down. And then I just try to figure out, where did that thought come from? Like, who gave me that thought? And then I questioned it. And then I basically went and try to figure out, how do I want to think and who has like a result I want to think in that area. So I guess that's like self-analysis. But and I started doing that for a lot of things, because like when you have an idea of what's right and you say, hey, this is right for me in the next point of my business, this is what's right for me, like that's what you believe is right. But like, where'd you get that thought from? Like, is it right because, this, that, like, and I just analyze it and be like, what do people in my ideal scene say is right? And then I'll try to go and figure out, why are they saying that? There's a reason why they're saying that, So I think that would be a really good thing that I spent a lot of time doing, and just figuring out where I got my like literally where I got my beliefs from.
Okay. That's awesome, man. Thank you.
Cool.
Hey, Nick, I got another question for you.
Yep.
What are like a few of your top, like you talked about getting as close as you can to the direct source. Like what are a few of those top direct sources that you've learned from? Like who?
So, I mean, I had Grant Cardone. It depends on what you're doing. Like Grant Cardone was like if you go and do anything Grant does, like he's great. He's awesome, you know? That's someone that I definitely like have is like Cardone University. I have the corporate account. For what I'm doing now, like just day trading, like I have people that taught me and they're really good at what they're doing. That's not really relevant and applicable to you. You have to figure out like what you're doing next in your business. So like, the other person that I learned from is someone that I made a partner. You know, we have a consulting company, and basically he built a $50 million company. So it really depends. Like it's each space has an industry leader. You know, like what are you working on next is really the question. Like what's the next thing for you once you get sales down? You know, I know that Mike has a lot of stuff on marketing. So. What's the next thing you're trying to master, and just really focusing on what's that next barrier that you don't understand and figuring out how do you get the solution and where to get it from.
That's why we all hired Mike Barron.
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Come on, baby. We got to give him some credit here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, as far as being like your most productive, kind of like the 80-20 thing, how they say, most of our results come from, 100% of our results come from like 20% of our efforts. So as far as like being your most productive on the day to day, like how do you find that how do you kind of like eliminate that whole thing, as far as just like spending a lot of time not being as productive as you could be?
If you have something that's working, like I really look and do a lot of like analytics and statistics, and I look at what's working and what's producing different results. So when I find something that's working, and I notice it and I observe it, I look to strengthen it the next week. So like, I'm just super aware of that. In terms of like, I think that would fall into it. And then knowing how can I go ahead and like step away from something that's like bogging me down? How could I do it realistically? Some of you guys aren't there yet. You need to go ahead and get some clients. You need to get some income. You need to get some revenue. And then, and then figure out how do you go ahead and go to that next point. So, yeah.
I want to add to that too. So that comes down to segmentation of time, right? I mean, you've got to segment your time on the activities that are going to make you be the most productive, right? And the things that are not going to be productive and waste your time, you segment it off to somebody else, or, you outsource it like Nick said.
And starting with the hard thing, whatever that thing is that's going to make you grow, just start with that, So when I go into a week, there's things that I know that I need to do to improve my business. For some of you guys, it's different things. For some of you, it's something where you have the base structure. It's just and it might not be improvement of a system. For me, I have to improve systems to keep growing. For some of you, you might have your system down. You just need to go get more clients. You need to go get more clients so then you could start to have a system, So it's different points for everybody.
Any other questions, guys?
Nick, so when you first started off, like on your whole entire entrepreneur journey, is this like what you're doing now? Is this what you envision? Like, this is what I'm going to be doing when you first started? And then the piggyback question to that is, what do you want to be doing like 10, 15 years from now? Like, what's the ultimate goal? Like, I know you were talking about new era.
So what I'm doing now is exactly what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to learn how to create income and create businesses. And then I wanted to go into like consulting and do what I'm doing now, which is like building like a brand. And like, I absolutely love it. Ideally, like what I want to do in the next 10 years, I mean, there's things that I want to do in the next 2 to 3 years that, take a team, and it's going to, it's going to be in alignment with like creating like a reality show. It's going to be in alignment with like creating, this hedge fund. It's going to be in alignment with creating like an app like Acorns. It's going to be in alignment with like different things that I have interest in, and then going and ultimately building an empire and owning, you know, multiple businesses, you know, and getting so good at creating systems and organizations and businesses that any idea that I had that it's a good idea that I could go ahead and I imagine I wake up every day and I am able to drink like water that I helped create. I'm putting on clothes that I helped create. I literally just create everything in my universe and any that I'm actually passionate about. And yeah, that's where I'll be at in the next 10 years.
Come on, Kanye West. Yeah.
Who?
And, you know, the Nick, the biggest thing, man, that this is like the quietest these guys ever seen me. The biggest takeaway, man, is everybody, starting with me, dude. We got a lot of fucking work to do. We got a lot of work to do. I think that's what you guys would all agree. We have a lot of work to do. This guy didn't just land here, okay? This is not like chance. He's not going to tell you, but he's in the Hollywood Hills right now, 26 years old. This guy knows how to do it. We all got a lot of fucking work to do, you know? Nick, you have anything for us in closing, man? This is really this will stay with these guys forever, and it'll stay with me forever, dude. And I really appreciate that you made time for us.
You know, I'll end with this is like a idea I had about responsibility, and like, you know, it's in alignment with the 10 years. Like I said, like these are things I want to do in the next 10 years in business, but this is kind of what I believe about people. I think that like as a person, when I first got started, my responsibility and all my attention was like on myself, you know? And like I woke up and I was like, had a lot of concern about myself, getting myself to 6 figures. And then there was a point where I had a shift. And I have a group, I have like an organization where, dude, I want them to make money. I want them to love what they do. I want them to be in a purpose-driven company where they're proud of what they're doing. But ultimately, I believe that throughout this whole process, like I want to get to the point where I'm so good and just able that I'm able to get to the point where I'm literally able to help take responsibility and make like an impact in this world and like impact billions of people. And the thing is like right now, truthfully, I don't feel like I'm at that point. I don't feel like I have the power to impact billions of people. But I know that over the next 10 years, I will get that power through, you know, it takes money, you know, but like that's what I want to work up to. And I think that every single person here will find something that, you know, they kind of lights them up and has like that purpose or, you know, that end goal. And I think that, you know, that sight of what that is should ultimately keep changing. Like if you were to talk to me 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and, you know, I wouldn't have said I might get to the point where I'll be able to take responsibility for like, you know, everybody on earth and like do what I can, do my part. You know, I wasn't there. I'm just trying to make 6 figures, you know? So that's just like a shift in perspective. So yeah.
Hey,
All right,
man,
guys.
one last question.
Let's hear it.
All right, so let's say you're just getting started, right? You're working on getting getting better at sales and all that. And will you consider the opportunity of hiring somebody else to help you do the work? Not like do it for you, but do it with you?
Here's the thing is, Javier, before you do it, like you could only hire someone as good as you. Like you're not gonna, you could get people that are better than you. You can't actually get to that point. I'm sorry, that's a lie. You can get to people that are better than you. But like up front, like if you have a sales guy, you know, you have to be someone he's gonna want to follow. So like, you know, so that's just like the fact. Like down the road, for me, I have some people in my organization where they're actually better than me at what they do, you know? And up front though, you know, I would definitely go ahead and put a lot of tension on yourself and just be like I said, master the job, get it done, get how it's done, you know, have all the pieces to it, and then go ahead and bring someone on.
Perfect. And one last question, if you don't mind. Let's say I know that you have all these companies and you offer products and all that. Let's say that you have a great product, right? But you just you're not capable money-wise at the moment. How would you consider approaching to, let's say, an investor
or someone that is willing to put money into your business to make it 10 times bigger?
Yep. So here's the thing, Javier. I can only give you advice on things that I've done. So for me, everything that I've done, I've learned how to go ahead and like start it up from scratch and use my own money to do it. I haven't actually had this whole thing. Like that's something I'm stepping into. That's a new game for me. I haven't done it. Everything I've done has been self-funded, and I've learned how to do it that way. So I can't give you advice on that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, Nick. I really appreciate you, man.
Cool. Awesome, guys.
Thank you, dude. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you guys this evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. August, I'll plug you with Nick. Nick, I'm going to call you right now.
Yeah, let's do it. All right,
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Later.